is on the air. This is your Hollywood radio reporter, coming to you from the little theater at the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Studios, bringing you The Courtship of Andy Hardy, with Mickey Rooney, Louis Stone, and the Hardy family's guest player, Miss Donna Reed. A few months ago, the students of a Southern California college elected Donna Reed their queen of the campus. Donna had been an Iowa farm girl, working her way through school, nourishing the hope that someday she'd graduate and find a job as a private secretary. Donna had dreamed a lot about that job. She had laid her plans carefully, and then along came fate and Hollywood. The rest of Donna's story is as brief as it is fantastic. A newspaper photograph of the campus first lady, an enthusiastic talent scout, hurried arrangements for a screen test, and before Donna Reed had recovered from the first thrill, she found herself already launched on a screen career. Today, the little Iowa farm girl has realized the ambition of every young actress in Hollywood, the guest player part in a Hardy family picture, the same opportunity that has already lifted other young players to stardom, among them Judy Garland, Lana Turner, Ann Rutherford, and Patricia Dane. Donna plays the part of Melody Nesbitt in The Courtship of Andy Hardy. Our first scene opens in Judge Hardy's study. Andy and the judge are in the midst of one of their man-to-man talks. Listen.
What I want to know at this moment is, how is your... Well, I suppose you youngsters would call it your love life.
Yes, I would call it that, but, gee, Dad, you have to use that kind of language.
I'm the father, and you're the son, aren't we?
That's right.
I don't know why I should be embarrassed about this thing. What I want to know at this particular moment is there a girl?
You mean if I drizzle down to one particular cookie? No, Dad, no, thank you. I'm playing the field.
Apparently that means there is no girl.
I'm going out of the retail business and going in for the wholesale trade. Safety in numbers. Variety is the spice of life. Why worry about one girl when there are hundreds of them? No, Dad, I made a mistake once, but I know now. Why, a fella goes around with a girl steady for a couple of days, and right away he begins to think, gee, she must have invented women. And that's bad for a fella my age because it's most liable to lead to love.
You don't believe in love?
Love. Going around with a stomach ache because somebody didn't have the right expression on their face when you said goodnight to them.
Fine. That fits in with my plans perfectly. You know Melody Nesbitt?
Young Melody Nesbitt, sure. She's just a child, not more than 16 or 17.
What kind of a girl is she?
I wouldn't know, only that she's a little droopy.
Droopy? Well, I always thought she was rather pretty.
I never noticed. Her face doesn't do anything for her. Clothes don't do anything for her. She certainly doesn't do anything for herself. Or don't you understand that?
I think I do. You mean that she's not dizzy?
Well, she's sort of a sad apple, a barb.
What?
A barb. A barbarian. She'd rather stay home and listen to a bunch of opera records and go out and do a little polite smooching.
Do you think you could martyr yourself and give her a whirl?
A whirl? Dad, I don't mean to be critical, but that sounds a little vulgar.
Oh, it simply means be nice to the girl. Take her to a dance or something.
Dad, please, would you never use those expressions like spooning or a whirl or bundling where anybody can hear you because it dates you.
Bundling? Well, Andrew, I do not go back to the American Revolution. Now, what about Melody?
All right, Dad. If the occasion requires a female companion, why, I'll buy her a ticket on the merry-go-round. But don't get me wrong. From now on, if I date one girl more than twice, you can make up your mind that I'm going to marry her.
I will remember that. Thanks, Andy.
Say, Dad, why all this sudden interest in Melody Nesbitt?
Well, why shouldn't I be frank? Andrew, have you any real idea what happens to children when a family breaks up?
No, I guess not. Except I guess it's awkward for the kids. Huh?
Awkward, Andrew? Why, often it crucifies them. That's why Melody Nesbitt is a droop. I'm hopeful of setting the stage to give some sort of an incentive for her to have a happy, normal life, and I'd be very grateful to you for providing the opportunity.
Gee, Dad, if I'm growing up, most of all, I appreciate you talking to me frankly like this. Asking me to help you. Why, sure, I'll show her a good time if I bust a rib.
Thanks, Andy, thanks. But I don't want her to know that this is a...
The frame-up? No, she won't.
I had a wonderful time, Andrew.
That's swell.
I like dances now.
Well, that's the way with social life. Once you get a taste of it, you can't do without it.
You know, I never saw any point in being popular before. I guess it's something you have to work on.
Well, girls have to work plenty hard to be popular with the boys, but look at their reward.
Yeah, I can see that now. Andrew, what makes a girl attractive?
Oh, lots of things.
Such as what? Sit down a minute and tell me.
Well, first of all, they have to want to be attractive, and then they have to have poise.
Oh, yes, of course. She has to want to be attractive.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've got to be going. I've got to get up early in the morning. You know, my job at Dugan's garage.
Andy, you've had a perfectly miserable evening. But really, I don't care if you did because...
Oh, excuse me. I thought you were Polly Benedict for a minute. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
You didn't. Good night.
Andy, that was swell of you, giving up a whole evening to entertain a droop just because your dad asked you to. And it was nice of you to give her those little pointers on poise and how to make herself attractive. Of course, Melody doesn't want to be a wallflower, and if she'll take to heart the things you've told her, well, you and the rest of the boys are in for a big surprise. The scene changes now to the Hardy dining room. It's dinner time, Friday evening, 2 weeks later.
All ready. Good evening, Andrew. Have you washed your hands and face? Somebody call Marion, please. James, this is the finest meal I've ever cooked.
Emily wouldn't even let me mash the potatoes for fear they wouldn't be exactly the way Marion likes them.
Well, I'm sentimental. The whole family's together again.
Well, Andy, one thick or two thins?
Better make it 2 thicks. I've got to bolster up my tissues. Tonight's the spinster skip.
I suppose you've been stampeded with invitations?
No, the only bid that I got was the one that you brought me. I was framed. The women ganged up on me, and Melody hooked me.
As painful as it is, you'd rather go with her than not go at all.
I'd rather not go at all, period. But I couldn't say no because I wanted to help you out.
I'll be glad to see Melody. She going to call for you here?
No, I've arranged to meet her at the dance. I didn't want to cause her any embarrassment.
Be sure not to save your own embarrassment.
Look, Dad, with the agony that I'm going to have to go through tonight, a little minor emotion like embarrassment would be a pleasure. Now, wait just a minute, fellas. You got Melody all wrong. She's not genuinely gruesome. She's just a little different, that's all.
A lot different than I date.
Now, look, for my sake, I promised the kid to have a good time. So, would you mind breaking it just once?
Sure.
Are you gentlemen or cads? Cads. I'm your pal. Really, Frank. Holy mackerel.
Hardy, do you see what I see?
Melody!
Hi, Moose. What's cooking?
Oh, fellas, this is the most sensational thing since Nero burned Rome.
It's terrific. It's bigger and better than Boulder Dam.
I hardly recognize you. You've changed. Well, you dogs. Melody's really going to be the belle of the ball this time. Hi, you gorgeous. Let's put the show on the road, huh?
Hi, Andy. Hi, Melody. Everything humming?
Right bang on the nose, baby.
Cynthia's a stunning girl, isn't she?
Well, she's a smart girl, you mean. She knows what most women won't learn. That a black dress can be awfully simple, but it gives out to the men. Shall we trip the light fantastic?
You didn't mind leaving a little early.
No, not at all. thing was that you had a couple more dances booked up.
Yeah, with the wolves. Not with you. Why, Andrew? Didn't I have poise?
Yes, you had sensational poise.
Was I attractive to the other fellows?
To get any guy in town, all you'd have to do would be to just throw the switch.
Any guy but you.
Never in the history of Carvel has there been such a ball of fire.
Andy, what's wrong with me?
Not a thing.
Except...
Melody, couldn't we just not talk about it anymore?
Andy, I have to know it.
Gosh, Melody, I feel awful.
Good night, Andrew.
I'll walk you to the door.
No, please.
What's your problem?
Oh, me? Oh, I had a little trouble tonight with Melody Nesbitt.
It's very apparent Melody likes you pretty well.
Dad, I'm a healthy, normal fella. And here I can't fall in love with a girl that's just dripping with zip from every pore. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Not Melody, a zip dripper.
Melody. Love has changed her into a dream queen. A fever frau to every fella but me.
Well, son, maybe you're growing up.
Well, if that's growing up, I'm not so sure that I'm going to like it or not. Dad, she cried.
And you're passing another milestone. It's always a shock to a man when he finds out for the first time that some girl cried.
You mean life is like that?
Sometimes. And a man is helpless except to hurt.
Tonight, Melody told me at the dance that she was happy about everything.
She is. You're just the stage that she's going through.
Oh. You know, Harry Land is really in love with her, but he's too bashful to let her know.
Hmm.
Well, I don't know. I'm in a love triangle.
Are you sure it's not a quadrangle? Are you positive that Polly Benedict's coming home tomorrow hasn't influenced your position?
Yeah. Polly coming home tomorrow.
Well, didn't you know it? Her father told me today.
No. Polly couldn't influence my position. I'll admit that it knocked me for a goal when Polly Benedict left, but I've outgrown her. In fact, I told her so in a letter.
Well, that's too bad. Because Melody's too fine and honorable a girl to ever cut in if she thought that you and Polly Benedict were... Well, if you were...
Going steady?
Hmm.
Say, man, that's a swell way out. And you can say that again.
You know, Andrew, you did a great deal for Melody.
That's all right, Dad. You know, now that I've got Melody solid on Harry Land, I've been thinking.
Mm-hmm.
She's an awful swell girl. And I'm going to worry all the rest of my life whether I was glad I passed her up. Yeah, I was right. Women are habit for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to several scenes from the motion picture, The Courtship of Andy Hardy, with Mickey Rooney, Louis Stone, and the Hardy family's guest player, Donna Reed. This is your Hollywood radio reporter saying thank you for listening.